Good evening and welcome to the Women's Intercultural Center. My name is Ellen Lenz and I'm a student from Creighton University participating in the Center's Border Awareness Program. Thank you to the candidates and community members for joining us tonight for this nonpartisan candidate forum for the City of Anthony. We're honored to host candidates for both mayor and board of trustees. We look forward to a meaningful exchange rooted in transparency, inclusion, and civic care. Our moderator this evening is Timothy Stutzlager, also from Creighton University, who will guide us through the format and flow of tonight's forum.
Thank you to the Women's Intercultural Center for the opportunity to moderate this important civic event. Before we begin, a few housekeeping notes. Please silence your phones. If you need to take a call, please kindly step outside. Restrooms are located to my right. Additionally, we ask that you refrain from side conversations and keep walkways clear. The format of tonight will be as follows. Each candidate will answer 5 questions, 3 from center participants, and 2 randomly selected from audience submissions. Pens and index cards are available at the entrance. Please place your questions in the appropriate baskets, the mayor or board trustee. Rory Peterson will draw questions from these baskets. Each candidate will have 2 minutes per question. Creighton Vanderbilt will signal when time is up. We'll begin with board trustee candidates, followed by mayoral candidates. Each candidate will introduce themselves with their name and profession and offer a 1-minute closing statement at the end of the questions. Are there any questions from the candidates? Great, let's begin. We will begin with candidate introductions. Each board trustee candidate will take 1 minute to share her name and impression. We start with candidate Astorga.
Sign up or how are you? Hi, my name is Melissa. Hello. Hi, my name is Melissa Sorda, and I'm a caregiver here in New Mexico. I am currently studying Utah for my master's degree, and I did receive my bachelor's in business administration, concentration in human services resources. I have 6 children. 6 children and 2 adopted that I take care of. I go back and forth from El Paso, Texas to Anthony, New Mexico to get the business in Anthony because I feel like there is no resources here for my children and for my health. And then also we own here on Lexington. And I think that's pretty much who I am.
Good afternoon, I'm Daniel Barreras. I'm one of the board trustees for the city of Anthony. Still living here in Anthony and wanting to make a better Anthony for the community. I've been living here for all my life and wish you good luck for everybody and thank you.
Candidate Flores.
Hello, my name is Elba Flores. I have a bachelor degree in education and a master's in administration. I have lived here all my life. In fact, I was born here in Anthony. And so I have a real special connection with our city. I would like to make sure that our community, especially our children, because our children are my main concern, coming from the education field. And I want all our families to feel healthy, safe, and to live a very good life here. Because I did, and I would like to have it that way for everyone. I believe that's it for me. I thank all of you for coming and to support us. And it's very nice to have gone around and met all. Thank you.
Candidate Granados.
Hello, I am Robert House. I've been a resident for Ending since 1980. I currently work right now with Intercultural housing and affordable housing. And that's one expertise that I do have is in housing, and how we get help this community to feel better and provide housing for the houses, for the people that need houses from different levels, lower income, moderate income, and they're very low. And my kids have been raised here in Anthony, and they're all gone ahead and done their careers thanks to the Gaston District School. And I wish you could support me, and if I can make a difference for the town and the city. Thank you.
Candidate Hidalgo.
Hello, my name is Sylvia Hidalgo, and I have an associate's in arts, which helped me acquire a registered license in dental hygienist. And I retired from that, and then I went on to teaching, and I work at Gadsden High School, and I am very proud to be a Gadsden Panther as of 1979. And I have my Panthers back here, and let me tell you something, people, they are the reason why I'm here, because I want to make a better community for my Panthers and for everybody in Anthony, New Mexico. Thank you very much, and I am very eager to serve you.
Candidate Soriano.
Hi, my name is Renato Soriano, and I graduated from Gadsden as well at class of 94. I attended University of Phoenix and also for city government as well as for county government, and I've been very active in the meetings and the council meetings that are going on, and so I'm very aware of what's going on with Anthony. And I think I bring a lot to the table to be able to change it. I've also worked in the private sector as well as I have had my own business, so I understand all aspects of being able to operate either business or city government as well. Thank you.
Candidate Astoria. Anthony has been named the poorest town in New Mexico. What specific steps will you take to attract businesses, create jobs, and support families facing economic hardship?
My plan would be to bring businesses in from out of town, of course, from either El Paso or from Las Cruces. Communicate that with the businesses that we need to list here. Communicate that with the board of trustees to get that here for the community, so that way the community doesn't have to be out resourcing like I was doing, going out to El Paso, going to Las Cruces, my groceries, to pay my bills, to go to school, to put my kids in football or baseball, anything like that. That's my goal. So,
Candidate Paredes. Anthony has been named the poorest town in New Mexico. What specific steps will you take to attract businesses, create jobs, and support families facing economic hardship?
First, improving our community as an employee and current trustee of the city of Anthony, New Mexico. I was part of the city flood bidder. I was part of the city flood vegetation ponds, and as I was part of the hydro phase of the South Anthony Arroyo. One of the accomplishments the city had made is to improve the drainage system on Power Circle subdivision. We are now the safest city with our greatest police department, and with those successes, businesses will attract the city because the feeling of safe and secure. Roads will be empowered or improved to have a infrastructure, bringing more businesses and employment for those residents to stay here in the city. Plus, enforcing our residents to maintain their property clean. As the former code enforcement officer, I worked hard on 2 cases to clean out their homes that was very unlivable. As a former trustee, I was able to assist in those properties being cleaned out. Thank you.
Candidate Flores. Anthony has been named the poorest town in New Mexico. Forest, Forest City in New Mexico. What specific steps will you take to attract businesses, create jobs, and support families facing economic hardship?
Anthony may be one of the poorest cities in New Mexico, but we've been working very hard to change that. One of the first steps is improving how our community looks and functions. Beautifying our streets, fixing roads and sidewalks, and making sure we have strong flood drainage. As a former trustee in 2017, I was part of the city's flood mitigation efforts. And now the city is finishing the final phase at the South Arroyo, Anthony Arroyo. We've made progress by investing in public safety with a great police department and plan to bring a fire department. We also brought an urgent care facility to town, so families no longer have to travel to Las Cruces or El Paso. This is not only to support our residents, but also makes Anthony more attractive to new businesses. We're also focused on supporting families directly. As a trustee, I fought tooth and nail to keep the portables at the former charter school. Now the city has 2 organizations, Thriving Kids and Mundo de Juguetes. Much needed family services to better our youth and their families. A business has established here as well, Thriving Wellness and Rehab Center. While other cities have had decades to grow, Anthony is 15 years old. Despite that, we're making real progress with continued infrastructure, improvement, and strong community partnership. We're building the foundation to attract businesses, create jobs, and support our families.
Candidate Ramos. Anthony has been named the poorest city in New Mexico. What specific steps will you take to attract businesses, create jobs, and support families facing economic hardship?
We offer tax incentives to grant attract small businesses and setups. Honor local school colleges, create training programs to make employees needs. Provide local internships to small businesses and workshops. Support our families by expanding access to child care, affordable housing, and job placement service.
Candidate Hidalgo. Anthony has been named the poorest city in New Mexico. What specific steps will you take to attract businesses, create jobs, and support families facing economic hardship?
Okay, first of all, people, let me say something. We are sitting on a gold mine, okay? We have pecan trees, we have chile growing around us, we have all that. I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember, but we used to have mountain pass down the road. My mother worked there, and then it helped a lot of people that were seasonal. So I would suggest to open businesses that are going to use those products that we have around here. Okay, bring in another mountain pass. There were 3 shifts in that company, and let me tell you, people prospered. I know because my mom used to work there, and we lived very well. Another thing that I was bringing to the community would be call centers, okay? The call centers are growing everywhere. There's a lot of little places here in Anthony that are willing to rent out their spaces, and we can open call centers, okay? So we have to use what we have here. another things. We have a lot of pecan grows around here, and all of them go to the pecan Sofialoras in Las Cruces. We should open one here so they can bring their business and we can have employment for our citizens. Thank you.
Candida Soriano. Anthony has been named the poorest city in New Mexico. What specific steps will you take to attract businesses, create jobs, and support families facing economic hardship?
I think a lot of the times some of the other people or candidates will say, I will bring this, I will bring that. And a lot of the other candidates will go ahead and say that they will bring this, they will bring that, but they don't tell you how. Okay. My father, and talking about economic hardship, my father was a farm worker all his life and had to raise 7 of us. And so I was being doing economic hardship here as my family. So one of the things that I would do for economic hardship and trying to tackle that would be to attract businesses. Um, and we could do more for the businesses that are already here. We have to do more for the businesses that are already here. Inform them of existing resources, like the Small Business Development Center, Antonia Community College, facilitate the operations by treating all businesses equally. Build a small business ecosystem that supports bilingual entrepreneurs. We need to promote our bilingual community. That's something that we need to do, and we don't tap into that resource. Partner with Antonia Community College and MSU for residents, for training, for job trainings, renewable energy, AI, construction, elder care. These are all fast-growing sectors. And attract businesses, right? Revitalizing downtown area is key. That downtown area is a historic district and it's underutilized. We have to work together with our farmers around the community to bring some sort of farmer market to attract tourism and strengthen our local agriculture as well. We also need to establish our own chamber of commerce or promote research to develop ideas for prospective businesses, opportunities, and locations in the organization. And we can talk about all these ideas.
Candidate Perez. With over 50 million in roadway rehabilitation needs and ongoing flood risks, how will you prioritize infrastructure repairs and ensure funding is used transparently and equitably?
Okay, sorry. Okay, I get kind of nervous, so excuse me. Okay, for that question, would be funds will be transparently by buying the right equipment for the city. We've always had issues with some of the trustees not approving some stuff for the equipment for the maintenance department. So that's one of the main goals is to buy our equipment so that way we can start fixing the streets, just like we did with Market Street, D Street, Anthony Drive, and across the road down to 4th Street, plus Pierce Street, 4th Street, all the way down to Clark. I think those are the main issues that we have is fixing potholes and things like that. So that's our goal by using the transparent on our issues like that.
Candidate Flores. With over 50 million in roadway rehabilitation needs and ongoing flood risks, how will you prioritize infrastructure repairs and ensure funding is used transparently and equitably?
Thank you for the question. With over $15 million in roadway rehabilitation needs and ongoing flood risks, prioritizing infrastructure has been a major focus. The city of Anthony hadn't raised taxes in over 12 years since incorporating, and most tax revenues went directly to the county. After much discussion, the board agreed to raise property taxes, ensuring a portion would finally stay within the city. That this allows us to improve roads like Market Street and part of Lee Street. Just so that we all know, the taxes that are collected from the residents must be used on roads, nothing else. In 2017, we also passed a general obligation bond that helped us fix about 15 streets, including Kalar, Ruth, First Street, and St. Anthony Street. A major project on 4th Street in the works since 2012 was completed thanks to state and federal grants. Again, the bond obligation money only can be used on streets, nothing else. On the flood control side, we made real progress since incorporation. I was part of the South Anthony Arroyo project in 2017, and it will be completed December 2025, so next month. The city also added 2 pumping stations at Adams Ballpark, which now serves as a retention pond. Many of you probably didn't know that, but that baseball park was created to be a pond so that in case we ever had a big flood, that's where
Candidate House. With over 50 million in roadway rehabilitation needs and ongoing flood risks, how will you prioritize infrastructure repairs and ensure funding continues?
To work with the state, but they have those retaining borders and the dam, make sure it doesn't bust again like it did in 1984. They had that big flood coming down the road. It wasn't for the planning area that we had, and pulled most of the water was making sense. So that's one of the biggest is trying to make the water flow in safe areas and out into the home.
Candidate Hidalgo. With over 50 million in roadway rehabilitation needs and ongoing flood risks, how will you prioritize infrastructure repairs and ensure funding is used transparently and equitably?
Okay, first of all, then there has to be unity within the council, within the members of board of trustees, so that we can go on with fixing the roads. And one thing, why do you just work on certain areas? I believe that every resident of Anthony deserves to have good drainage and good streets on your street. Not just nitpicking, people, street. No, people, you all deserve to have good drainage and good streets. Let me tell you, I pray every day there's rain that we will not have a flood like our neighbors in Babo did. Because if there happens to be a flood like that, rain like that, half of the city of Anthony will be gone. Look at the houses. Some houses have been here. I'm sorry, sir. I talk with my hands, people. Look at the houses. Some of the houses are older than I am, and I'm 65 people, okay? So we have to make sure we need to stop nitpicking because this drainage is over here. Everybody in Anthony deserves good drainage and good streets. Thank you.
With over 50 million in roadway rehabilitation needs and ongoing flood risks, how will you prioritize infrastructure repairs and ensure funding is used transparently and equitably?
As someone who has lived here in Anthony and runs the same roads every day, I know how frustrating it is to see the potholes and flooding and broken promises. Prioritizing. Let's prioritize first. We need to have a rapid infrastructure assessment, performing a short inventory of all roads, drainage, bridges, and critical assets. Assess and each asset based on what safety risk, flood vulnerability, service impact, and how many people are served, economic impact, business emergencies, access, and cost of repair. That's what we're going to prioritize. And create flood mitigations and emergency programs wherever possible, repair roads and culverts, raise rates for flood mitigation. Following these projects can be more competitive for flood mitigation rates. And funding, where are we going to find the funding? EDA, Public Works Economic Adjustments, HUD, CDBG, USDA Rural Development, FEMA, state and regional funding, DOT programs, county. We have to pursue a mix of federal and state grants. That's what we need to do. Okay, transparency. Talk about transparency. Transparency. We need to build a public portal. Build a simple online portal where people can access and see where the money is going based on these projects. Set up an independent citizen financial oversight committee. Okay, mandatory audits in grant compliance. Checks for all major grants. Okay, town hall meetings to give updates to the residents on projects. Okay, inclusion all boards, all roles, and flood mitigation efforts. We need to take following these into consideration. The town's capacity, small towns lose grants due to weak grant management audits. We need to also use state and regional partners like the county. Yes.
Candidate Astorga. With over 50 million in roadway rehabilitation needs and ongoing flood breaks, how will you prioritize infrastructure repairs and ensure funding is used transparently and equitably?
First off, I would hire a new engineer to assess these roads correctly. Work from lips all the way to Livesay. Livesay is where it all started. If you go down this, I did talk to a voter that told me that there is a boundary line with the neighbor that the street goes the street goes straight through the fence line. That's been addressed through the meetings and nobody's done anything about it. Just let the kids play on the opposite side of the street just so they can stay where the cars. Things like that. This pond holding station for the ballpark. What's the point of having a ballpark for the kids if it's going to be full of water and flooding and holding flies and mosquitoes and all that stuff, bacteria for the kids? I don't believe that's a proper way to have our children. Our children is our focus. This is what we bring up in the city of Bethany. Is that what you want for your kids? Is for them to be laying in a mosquito-infested place? But also, if you go down all these roads, of course, there's potholes and all of that stuff going on. Matter of fact, right there in front of my house on Livesay, there's the 6-inch poles all the way across. So when my client gets off his vehicle, he trips over the street. So when is that gonna get fixed? They've been making promises to us since 2000, I want to say 15 when I last spoke to the mayor. And I haven't seen anything come out of all these meetings and everything that. So that's why I'm here, is to address all of this and be able to speak for the community, represent them and everything that they need.
On the floor. Families still lack access to free, safe, recreational spaces for their children. What is your plan to expand youth programs and build much-needed recreational spaces?
Thank you. When I served as a trustee, I worked closely with the mayor and other elected officials to prioritize safety and free recreational spaces for our families and children. In 2017, a youth-led survey showed that bringing recreational activity to our kids was a top community need. That led to meaningful discussions between myself, the mayor, and Representative Doreen Gallegos about how we could help and how it would happen. Since then, we've made real progress. Adams Baseball Park was renovated with a state-of-the-art features, including a concession stand, underground ponds, drainage system.
No
Phase
bathroom.
one of multi-generational facility has been built to bring families together for recreation, and phase two is in the works. The city also acquired the Los Lagos property and developed a green infrastructure master plan. However, there's a private company interested in buying land there to build recreational and amenities, but they wouldn't be free to the public. And the total project cost is estimated at $15 million. The city would have to pay that back. And honestly, the city cannot afford that. That's why the city is actively seeking grants at the state and federal level to fund parks, baseball fields, soccer fields, walking paths, tennis courts, and a swimming pool, and more. So we can offer these spaces without boundaries for our residents. When you have a council united with a clear vision for our youth and families, projects like these move faster, and I'm committed to continuing that work.
Candidate Rose. Families still lack access to free, safe, recreational spaces for their children. What is your plan to expand youth programs and build much-needed recreational spaces?
I plan to expand programs by partnering with schools and nonprofits and local business to offer school and summer activities and also grant state community partnering that we build safe parks and recreation centers, ensuring every child and entity has a place to play and learn and grow. It's very important for the kids. We stay where they're playing, that the parents are not around there, because you don't get down to what they're doing. There's somebody around there to take care of them. And also, like we make summer youth leagues, like most of the cities do baseball, and then they have summer and then basketball. It's our kids. We have to ensure with sports to be competitive in sports. When they grow up.
Candidate Hidalgo. Families still lack access to free, safe, recreational spaces for their children. What is your plan to expand youth programs and build much-needed recreational spaces?
Okay, my understanding is that there's still a project on hold because regarding up here over here in Los Lagos where they're gonna build an amphitheater and everything, but it's on hold because once again there's no unity within the board of trustee members. Okay, we need to get united to get this town going, people. As far as me bringing in, I have coaches at school waiting. What's happening, Miss Hidalgo? We want you to win because we want to go into Anthony and we want to sponsor baseball teams for boys and girls and flag football. Okay? It's right there, people. I just need to get on the board and I will bring those coaches in. They're willing to once again, Mr. Boss. Okay. Once again, we need to unite. Okay. I'll bring the coaches in. They're willing to do it for free. Like football, not only for boys, also for girls. That excites me. I'm a big football fan. And I want to see our students succeed. And one thing they need is extra activities after school so they won't be tagging our town, people. We need to do that for our youth. Thank you.
Families still lack access to free, safe, recreational spaces for their children. What is your plan to expand youth programs and build much-needed recreational spaces?
Well, as a child, I have played in all the parks in the area, and also I was a coach here, so I also coach in some of these parks as well. And So I understand the challenges that are faced by the community and not having enough parks. Okay, main point is these are some of the challenges. We lack shaded areas and limited after school programming. They make it difficult for kids to participate in consistent recreation. Transportation is also a barrier for families. Sometimes they have to reach to the outskirts of town to reach a facility or whatever they're practicing. We face those challenges as a coach. Proposed solutions expand after school and summer programs, partner with local schools and boys clubs of Las Cruces and nearby churches and bring structured after school tutoring, art and sports programs directly to Anthony. Invest in multi-use recreational spaces based on the city's map and availability of land. We could utilize things like the section where Los Lagos is, that's being proposed as a multi-recreational space. Secure funding, that's another issue. We have to secure funding and create partnerships with the community development block grants and also in the private sector too. We can also create partnerships with the private sectors with local businesses to help them sponsor uniforms and sponsor equipment, community engagement. We also need the community to get engaged, to be involved. And inclusion in Anthony, and in Anthony, investing in our youth is investing in our future.
Families still lack access to free, safe, recreational spaces for their children. What's your plan to expand youth programs and build much needed recreational spaces?
My plan is to use my voice, my education. I did speak to TEP already in regards to getting, I know it's not New Mexico, but in El Paso, I did speak to the athletics program to see if I can get them down here to play with the kids at least once a month or something like that. They were willing to come down here. That was my plan. I know we do a lot about talking and doing this and that with the kids, and I feel like most of the people, they're a lot older and don't understand the youth, but I feel like if we were to get all involved in helping the youth out and supporting them, I believe that they can be brighter instead of them looking to other resources like painting walls, like doing other things that they're not supposed to. It was nice last night. I was able to take a cruise through Anthony, and I did see 3 children on their scooters to keep themselves busy. That brightened my day because I was like, whoa, I haven't seen kids. Have you guys seen kids going down the street? I haven't. I don't even trust my children out there out the gate. So I thought that was nice. And I plan to use, I didn't mention it before, but my nonprofit to raise donations to help to pay for their costs for using the fields, for just to help them with uniforms and things like that. That's my plan.
Candidate Perez. Families still lack access to free, safe, recreational spaces for their children. What is your plan to expand youth programs and build much needed recreational spaces?
This is why we want to continue the Dos Tamos project, so that the youth can have that recreational space, such as baseball fields, soccer fields, and tennis courts. The Adams Park, perfect one. The Adams Park is one of the biggest projects for the recreational use. For the youth to be involved in bringing the facility of the Doreen Gallegos Recreational Center, plus finishing the second and third phase for that facility. Thank you.
Yeah. Candidate Perez. With the closures of schools, With the closures of schools in our community, what are you all doing as a city to save our schools?
Well, we are ending meetings and doing petitions to stop on the closure of the schools. Asking why are they getting bus far away from the area they go to from their land? I don't think it's right. They're saying there's not enough students in one school and they're busing it to another school to make more students there. Uh, so I don't think it's right closing down schools and raising instead of having 14 kids in a class have 27 kids. They'll struggle more on learning. And also trying to take the bilingual class away. It's always been here in this area to help kids meet their home, but they start only speak Spanish and they end up having trouble in school and places if there's no support on their age. So I think you have to try to keep our schools all open and you know very good like it.
Candidate Hidalgo, with the closures of schools in our community, what will you do to save our schools?
Plain and simple, get rid of the superintendent. Yes. Then, people, this is serious. This is our educational system here in Gaston. And let me tell you, as an employee of Gaston High School, I see the bias in the district. I'm gonna talk, people. Superintendent Dempsey has his favorite campuses. Okay? So that's where the problem is. But let me tell you something, people. Hopefully, he'll be moving away. That he will be Deming's problem, not ours. And hopefully, we can move on and stop all these closures of schools. The reason the schools are closing is because he's putting more money in certain schools than in schools where it's really needed. Okay? And my beef was when he closed down Anthony Elementary and then they destroyed the building. That was a historical building. I was so upset. I was a resident in Anthony at that time, but I was so pissed off as you people. Why did you allow him to do that? Why didn't you speak up for your town? That was a historical building, and that was Anthony Elementary. And I know how it feels because he went and did the same thing in Sunland Park. He closed down my elementary, Sunland Park. Those things are very, very, kept in my heart. That was my elementary. So that's the problem. We get rid of Dempsey, problem gone. And I hope we'll get a better superintendent. Thank you.
New mayor.
Candidate Soriano, with the closures of schools in our community, what will you do to save our schools?
I think first of all is unifying the community as one and under one cause, and that is to keep our schools here. Second, we need to build bridges with our representatives and pressure our representatives to see if they can do anything about this issue as well. We also need to build bridges as well with Gaston Independent School District and see why it is that they are prioritizing other schools other than ours. We also have to get it wrong as well. But first of all is to unify the community. And I don't want to
With the closures of schools in our community, what will you do to save our schools?
Well, we need communication as the community needs togetherness to speak to the to speak to the superintendent, to get to the bottom of why he's closing the schools, get all of the facts straight first before we go off assumptions. And then, all besides what everybody's saying up here, I do want to say that these students, whether it gets close or not, we do gotta accept them regardless. And for them to feel welcome here in Anthony New Mexico, not just neglected, like pushed apart from their other school or saying that we don't welcome you here. I feel like they should be welcome.
Candidate would ask, with the closures of schools in our community, what will you do to save our schools?
First, notifying the community of the issues. Second, working together and working together to be able to see if we can probably save the school and help each other out with the community and the school district.
Candidate Flores, with the closures of schools in our community, what will you do to save our schools?
The closure of schools is very sad because all the kids do have friends and they get used to being in one certain place, one certain school. It's also close to their homes. And when a school gets closed, it's very kind of devastating for the students because now they're having to move somewhere else and make new friends and all that. So it's not a good idea to get rid of our schools. The district usually tries to save money by closing these schools and sending the kids on somewhere else. Maybe even just kind of pretending to give the parents a choice by saying, you know, you can pick the school you want, but it's not really even though you have a choice, it's not a good choice because the student is the one that's being hurt and harmed. I agree that we need a new superintendent. I totally agree with that because this superintendent is coming from somewhere else, a different area, a different place, and they come in here, they really don't understand what Anthony and the school district is about. And so they try to just kind of make us, the children and the parents, they try to make us fit what he wants and not what our students want or what they need. I was very upset when they destroyed the Anthony Elementary school because I attended that school since kinder, and to me, it was a historical building. I went and I spoke to the superintendent and to the people that decided to destroy this place, and I was real upset with them, and they said that the reason they had done it was because the building was falling apart and because it was full of mines and all kinds of different things, even homeless people. And so to me, that was not a good excuse. And I said, you know, why don't you go to the city of Anthony?
Candidate Villago, how do you plan to address issues of delayed city services, abuse of authority by elected officials, and other administrative failures that expose the city to legal risk and damage public trust?
Okay, read the question again, sweetie. I go slower on them. Okay, go ahead.
How do you plan to address issues of delayed city services, abuse of authority by elected officials, and other administrative failures that expose the city to legal risk and damage public trust?
Okay, I think I understand the question, so let me tell you what happened here. On September the 14th, I walked out of my house and my dog's paw was hanging. He had been bitten by a pack of dogs, okay? So, I called City Hall. Can I have a dog catcher? No, we don't have a dog catcher because the state board of trustees canceled the contract with the dog catcher. I said, really? Yeah. So they left it up to me to take care of the problem, which I did. I found out where the dogs were coming from, and you people of Anthony are very familiar with the house on Church Street. that had all that trash. Okay? Those where the dogs were coming from. I was very upset. Okay? This is my dog. It's not my baby, people. He is my guard dog. So, I went and I found out that the dogs were coming from that house, and I went to one of the meetings, the board of trustee meetings, and nobody had a resolution for me. So what did Miss Hidalgo do? I did what I used to do in Southern Park, New Mexico. I started calling around people, and I called the county, and they came in and they cleared up the area. If you're wondering what happens with all that trash, it's me, people, and I am here to clean up our town. And people deserve services. If you people are going to give us, the citizens of Anthony, are paying taxes, we need to have all our services. About 16 dogs out of that house.
How do you plan to address issues of delays in city services, abuse of authority by elected officials, and other administrative failures that expose the city to legal risks and damage public trust?
I think it comes down to one thing: accountability. Okay, this city government has not been held accountable by the residents for quite a long time already. It's time we start holding them accountable.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that the employees there are a product of lack of accountability. And what I mean by accountability is not punishment, but rather taking ownership of what they do and taking pride in what they do. So they need ethics training. They need training against fraud, waste, and abuse, which is, it's in the city, and it's just being transparent too. And if something happens, the people of Anthony need to be alerted. They need to know that there isn't a dog catcher. That's important for the residents to know. We need to know all these things, and I don't think there's a proper form of communication to communicate to the public when things are going wrong. And that's part of the transparency. They keep hiding these. The government keeps, the city government keeps hiding these from the residents. And they're not being able to count. They need accountability.
How do you plan to address issues of delays in city services, abuse of authority by elected officials, and other administrative failures that expose the city to legal risks and damage public trust?
Okay, so mine already in the work, getting more employees or more people to apply for the position as a dog catcher. I did too have an incident. There's always a bunch of cats on my stage. You ever walk down there in the middle of the night, we have a bunch of cats. Cats problem. We ended up, I ended up contacting the secretary at the city, and she had no idea who to contact, who to get a hold of. It was a back and forth thing. I told her either do something about it or I'm going down there. So I did go down there. I did address the problem with her. She still didn't know. She said, I'll give your number to the mayor. Somebody called me, and 5 minutes after leaving from there, they did drop off a cat cage, but I had already purchased 4 before then. And one night I caught 15 cats.
Damn.
15 cats in our house. And that's not to address the other 10 that came after the 2 months after catching those 15 cats. So yes, this needs to be addressed. With all these employees not doing their jobs, I just feel like we need somebody that's gonna actually do their job and get paid for what they're doing.
How do you plan to address issues of delayed city services, abuse of authority by elected officials, and other administrative failures that expose the city to legal risks and damage public trust?
For one, address the abuse. For second, of the abuse that's in public, and we need the public's trust at the same time. And we do have the ability to treat our employees the right way. We need to talk to the people that are having those issues and they can see if we can correct it, help them out with things like that. And to correct the issue about the dog issue, Domiana County didn't come in and clean it. We cleaned it. We, the city, cleaned it. And just making you guys realize that we are working hard for the city because we already cleared 2 locations: Charles Church and Room and Church. Those 2 buildings were the worst, and we did the work. And that's all I gotta say. Thank you.
Candidate Flores. How do you plan to address issues of delayed city services, abuse of authority by elected officials, and other administrative failures that expose the city to legal risk and damage public trust?
As we get trainings for the elected officials, there's a lot of trainings that go on like in Sandton and in Albuquerque. And when we go to these trainings, it's very important that we learn that the job for the board of trustees is only to go over our budget for the city. We cannot, as board of trustees, we cannot interfere with the staff. That is totally against the law. That is the mayor's job. Whoever the mayor is, it is their job to correct. If you have an issue with one of the staff members, you can always address the mayor and have her look into it. But the board of trustees has no authority. As far as the cat issue, we do have a lot of cats. And when I was on the board, we tried to get all these cats somewhere. And we found out that it's coming from Las Cruces, and we cannot. If you put a cat in a cage and set them off, what they do in Las Cruces is they will vaccinate them. If they need to be neutered, they will be neutered. But then at the end of all that, the cats are returned to the city to live out their life as long as they have. So there's no way of us just getting rid of these cats. They should. So because of the animal cruelty and all that, all those laws, they decided that they just help the cat by keeping it healthy, neutered, and returned to the city. The city is committed to being transparent. If a resident asks for any copies of the budget, we provide it. The city always provided them, and we had lots of requests, and they were provided. Our efforts were recognized with an award for the most improved audit.
Candidate Granados. How do you plan to address issues of delayed city services, abuse of authority by elected officials, and other administrative failures that expose the city to legal risk and damage public trust?
I think us as a community should run our community leaders why the services are not being performed in an annual manner. If we have to find more staff and find money to hire people to do what's needed to make our public safe, clean dogs, gas, everything on the street, kids playing in the street, also not riding, so many things that we can do to make by working with our leaders. I can say it's very important for us to attend meetings and pick out who our leaders, what's the homeless in our town that you care about. And
That is the conclusion of our questions. Now, each candidate may offer a 1-minute closing message to the public, beginning with candidate Zia.
And what I would say is my closing statement is that we are one community. We need to unify as a community, and community engagement is key for that. You guys need to go to these meetings know what is happening on every meeting. So like that, because there's a lot of different sides, right? But you know, as they say, no matter how black to make a pancake, there's always two sides. And you gotta keep that in mind. Please attend the meetings. It is very important that you all know what's going on here. And
Candidate Estrada, you guys offer 1 minute closing.
I'm sorry.
A 1 minute closing statement.
Yes, going to these meetings are how you get involved, but I just don't think anything's being done unless you address it, walk up to the podium and address it. I just think that us as a community should unite and work together and building the city of Athens as it should be, not as it is right now. I just feel that a lot more should come to the city of Athens.
Yep.
Thank you.
Well, last closing statement is we're going to keep working hard for you guys. We want to try and do what you guys ask for. It's not always going to be the right answer or the right question, but we're going to try to do what is possible for this community. I really appreciate if you guys vote for us, for me, because it's my city, it's our city, but we can finish up what we started and make this community agreeable. God bless you.
Candidate Flora.
My closing statement goes to the community. And first of all, I want to thank all of you for being here and attending, giving up some of your time this afternoon to just kind of come and hear us. We are human, so you know there will be a lot of things that maybe we don't do correct or you don't feel like we are doing it correct. If ever I don't do something correctly, I am not afraid to talk with you or see what it is that you all need and what you want to see happening in the city, because it belongs to all of us. The division that has started in this city is very sad because we all belong here and we should not have any kind of division. We should just be able to talk, to communicate, and have a better city for all of us. We are looking out for all the children, or I am. Thank you.
Candidate House.
Well, I think first thing is we have the right to support our leaders and our people around here, no matter what income stage, you know, either low income, high income. We're all the talent. We should all work together. Not criticize because this person makes more money than the other. No, we fight off in the same services to all of them. You know, according to housing, either playing games or because the other kid has a very young harm. No, the whole is wrong. Here for this city, work together and support each other. I mean,
Okay, I believe that as a member of the board of trustees, okay, your job is not to try and do things. Your job is to do things. Okay? So with that in mind, I want to thank you all for your time. Thank you for your support. Remember, okay, residents of Anthony, this election is not just about choosing a candidate. It is about choosing a direction for our future. Thank you.
This concludes our Board of Trustee question and introduction closing statements. Thank you and good luck to all of you. Now we will move into our mayoral candidate introductions and questions.
That was the first one.
Oh, you did? Sorry, I can hear you.
As before, each male candidate will take 1 minute to share their opinion and profession, followed by 4 questions and then a closing statement. Candidate Enriquez.
Hello, my name is Oscar Enriquez. I've been an Anthony resident for my whole life. I'm 21 years old. I ask you guys not to see just my age, I ask you to see my accomplishments. Being a graduate from Gaston High School and Montana Community College in year 2023. Graduate was certificate of emergency medical technician. I worked in the emergency medical field. I worked at Paris Police Department, and I asked you to view me of my achievements and how I engage. I plan to change law for Anthem, make the right change that we deserve, and be able to listen to everyone's voice in the community, including the youth, as they are the future of Anthem. And I believe that within we'll definitely make some real changes that will
Stop.
Candidate Wilkie.
My name is Gabriel McGee. I've been in office since 2022. In 2021, I ran a four-way race and was elected with 32% of the vote. In 2024, I was elected unanimously as a mayor pro tem. During my years before office, I graduated from Honolulu Charter High School in Las Cruces, and I obtained an associate's in education with an emphasis in bilingual education. And this December, God willing, I graduated with a bachelor's degree with a focus in criminal justice. I've lived here my whole life. I've had a loud voice for the residents, whether it's property taxes or real estate and public comment. So I ask for your support. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Diane O'Neill. I am the current mayor for the city of Athens. I've been the mayor for 10 years, and I've been a public official for 15 since the city incorporated. I also been in engagement advocate before the city incorporated. I get in here and I'm young life. I have 8 grandkids, 1 adopted son, and 2 kids. And my priority is here for my youth that I've been advocating since 2016 when I became mayor, and I continue to do that for this coming election in the and I ask for support.
Can you please roll all comments? Thank you.
That's good.
Now we will begin our question portion of this forum. Candidate Enriquez, what are the 3 issues or focus on accomplishing during your term in office?
3 issues that will accomplish will be our fixing our infrastructure, and that's something that shouted with the Montana brochure. And I believe all of us have seen the infrastructure here, and we can agree that it's ridiculous on what we're seeing for our city. Another thing I will face is our public services such as police, fire, medical services. For faster vendors, I believe all of us here have seen or been a victim of the response time, as well as the trainings that they have, such as for law enforcement. I believe that I've seen and been told that there's been a lot of professionalism in our current city law enforcement, and I plan to go ahead and change that as well. The last issue is to scale up the youth more. I believe that we've been pushed aside a lot here in the city. I plan to make more programs for them after school, as well as talk with the school principals for each campaign and get in Mexico and try to make it safer and be able to have that peace to let our students let your kids be able to attend school without having to worry if anything might happen. So, well, that's a
Candidate Hakeem, what are the three issues you will focus on accomplishing during your term in office?
So, my top three issues that I found on being when elected mayor would be a lot of restructuring. I think that we have forgotten about the basics as a city government. So, my number one thing would be repairing trust and transparency, repairing communication and respect, and restructuring how government works. Time and time again, we heard here during this debate, well, we can't do this because the mayor's in charge. Well, guess what? What if the mayor's not doing their job? We've seen actions taken against the residents to circumvent them from getting involved with the city, such as removing public comment, or one of the only, if not the only city that removed the community's voice. Another one of those would be how we did property taxes. You know, we were told, yes, we were here, we haven't charged property tax in 12 years, but guess what? The way that it wasn't done correctly. You go to Old Plaza, you go to Las Cruces, that's put up too low. At the very least, you guys get mail, and the city of Anthony did not do any of that. You know, so restructuring, it's going to take I would say about first 2 years of office, but what do you do whenever the city's been like this for the past 7 years? Thank you.
What are the three issues you will focus on accomplishing during your term in office?
The city of Anthony has invested millions of dollars in land acquisition, planning, and phase development projects like the new urgent care facility. To meet the growing needs of our community, these efforts are laying the foundation for a stronger, healthier, and more prosperous city. As your mayor, I am committed to continuing this work through the Dos Lagos Master Plan. This includes expanding our medical sector and working closely with Doniana Community College to build a stronger workforce in healthcare and skilled trades for any Gaston High School students that would like to be in that zone. Because good jobs and quality care should be accessible right here at home. I also believe in building a city that supports our families and provides safe, fun spaces for our children. That's why I'm back to Green and Parks Recreation Department to Dos Lagos. I want to open up the Dos Lagos days for fishing for all our outdoor families. And build a community swimming pool, maybe a splash pad, little Adams Park for kids that live around there. I'm also working forward adding more facilities like the baseball fields, pickleball courts, soccer fields, and tennis courts. Because our families deserve a place to play, connect, and stay active. Improving our roads continue to be a top priority. During my time in office, the city has been able to repair and improve more than 18 streets across Anthony, and I'm committed to do even more. Finally, I'm focused on bringing that kind of economic development that helps our community grow in the right way, creating local opportunity and supporting small businesses so our families do not lose out.
When faced with a tough decision that affects the whole city, what values guide you? And how do you make sure those values reflect the people, not just politics?
When facing a tough decision, I think it's a lot of common sense. Honesty, responsibility, and respect for the people who actually make the city run. I don't make choices based on politics. I look at how it affects working families, small businesses, and taxpayers. I believe in listening to the people who live here, work here, and pay the bills. Then I make the call that's best for long-term good for our community. even if it's not easier or popular choice, as many of you have seen. My goal is simple: do what's right, not what's political, and make sure government works for the people who built the city, not the ones who want to use it. Who wants to use it? Investors, engineers, people that are going to make a profit from the city. I think that, again, we've forgotten about people and we've instead focused on the bigger picture. How can we get more money into those engineers? And again, it trickles down to politicians. How are those politicians connected to those engineers? Why are those engineers getting all those projects? That's what the real issue is. Thank you.
When faced with a tough decision that affects the whole city, what values guide you? And how do you make sure those values reflect the people, not just politics?
Our nation was built on the foundation of being one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That's not just a phrase too, it's a guiding truth. My values are grounded in scripture, especially to what 1 Corinthians 13:4-7 teaches us. Love is patient, kind, and it doesn't boast. It doesn't give up. These are the values that shape how I live, eat, and serve. I will never waver from faith, hope, and love. Faith in future we can't yet see, but believe we will be good. Hope for a brighter tomorrow for the people of Anthony. And love, genuine love for every resident of Anthony and Southern Loyan County. I've always worked with their best interests at heart, not for political gain, not for show, but because I care deeply about this community. I've been attacked for my beliefs, but I will never compromise my faith or my mission to serve you with honesty and heart. I've been doing this for 15 years, like I stated, and I'm here for you, not for politics, and that will never change. And I am embedded in my heart in the city of London. Thank you.
When faced with a tough decision that affects the whole city, what values guide you? And how do you make sure those values reflect the people, not just politics?
When I'm faced with a tough decision that affects our entire city, we guide by values of honesty, transparency, and fairness. I believe that being a leader is listening, not just to a group of a certain neighborhood, but to everyone in that. My goal is to make decisions based on what was best for our residents, and not just politically meaning. And to make sure my values reflect to the people and not politics. I want to stay connected with the community as much as I can. That includes events, social media, and direct conversations. I want our residents here in Anthony to feel that their voices is what shape our future. It's not about what personal gain we get out of this. It's not about our political party lines. It's about what's right for us. It's about what's right for Anthony and for the people who live here.
Candidate Mario, describe a moment, real or imagined, when every resident of Anthony felt seen, heard, and proud to live here. What would you do as mayor to make that moment possible?
Please. We share some meaningful moments together, each one a reflection of the pride, purpose, and joy that lives in our community. From the opening of the multi-purpose recreation and flood control area at Adams Park back in 2021, to phase 1 of the Doreen Gallegos Multi-Generational Center and the launch of our new urgent care facility. These milestones are more than just projects. They're for our families, forever. They're proof of what we can achieve when we come together, united by a shared vision for a better future. Thank you for being part of this journey. Together, there's so much more we can accomplish.
Describe a moment, real or imagined, when every resident of Anthony felt seen, heard, and proud to live here. What would you do as mayor to make that moment possible?
A moment that I think of is when all of us feel that there's a sense of unity and that we're finally moving forward together. This means families, students, business owners, and anyone that lives in Nandi. As mayor, I would like to work to make that a reality by breaking communication between the government and the people. To hold our meetings, to make youth programs and talent events. Make events, make a meeting where everyone's voice matters. To focus on rebuilding trust through transparency. Together. I would like to make the residents know that I hear the input and hear the voice to shape action. And how we will create a city that everyone's proud to own.
Describe a moment, real or imagined, when every resident of Anthony felt seen, heard, and proud to live here. What would you do as mayor to make that moment possible?
There was a time not too long ago when people in Anthony felt shut out, when public comment was taken away and property taxes went up without clear answers. Folks were frustrated and honestly, they had every right to be. But instead of giving up, our community showed resilience. When property taxes were increased, we had over 160 individuals show up to City Hall to show their discomfort. When has that been done since the incorporation of the city? We came together, we spoke up, and we pushed back. I fought to restore public comment because although in the state it's seen as something that doesn't need to be done by the city, it's not right. I fought to restore public comment because I think that was right. Every resident deserves the right to be here. We did it. We brought transparency back into City Hall. That moment when public comment was reinstated, you could feel the pride in the room. People stood up and spoke from the heart. People like my grandmother who's sitting in the audience who didn't know Spanish went up and used their right and spoke out. City officials listened. That's what resilience looks like. A community that refuses to stay silent and refuses to be ignored. As mayor, I want to build on that same spirit. We'll keep the doors open, keep information accessible, and continue holding property tax workshops so families understand where their money goes and how to get out when they need it. Anthony's strength has always been its people, hardworking, proud, and resilient. My job is to make sure the spirit is reflected in our government every single day and hope to move forward despite what has happened in the past. Thank you.
And we're now transition for our audience questions from the documents. The city of Anthony has been plagued with low confidence in public officials, nepotism, and no accountability for employees with substandard performances. How will you address these issues?
We'll hold those city officials accountable. I believe that as the residents advocates, you are and deserve a fair government. You deserve a fair, transparent government. And anyone that does not fall under that, they need to be held responsible for anything that they do. As a government should be, filled with transparency and be trusted. How can we live in a community where we don't trust our government officials? And any government official that shows you that he doesn't to be held accountable for their actions that may show.
The city of Anthony had been plagued with low confidence in public officials, nepotism, and no accountability for employees with substandard performances. How will you address these issues?
In order to address those issues, it starts with you guys. There's a lot of individuals that are running for re-election. In reality, when has there been a change in our city government? It also starts with the core values of the candidates. What do us as candidates, find in our core? Is it the people or is it employees? In the past, since in the city, there's been raises with no proper evaluations. And do you know who's in charge of the evaluations? The mayor. I invite you to ask for the budget so that you guys can see the percentage. There's no money for streets, there's no money for parks, but there's a whole lot of money for internal city. In every employee's inception of the city and their position, there's been a 46% increase from their wage until the 46% is a lot. So again, it starts with the elected officials. In order to have accountability internally with the employees, it starts with the elected officials. What do these elected officials continue to do? It trickles down to the employees. Whenever you have a government for the government, you don't have a government for the people. Thank you.
The city of Anthony has been plagued with low confidence in public officials, nepotism, and no accountability for employees with substandard performances. How will you address these issues?
Yes, sir. So back in about 8 months ago, I conducted a survey with it was probably about 420 surveyors. That I asked for a survey of the top priority, the issue that there was no confidence back then, and I had a very good response from the people here in the city of Anthony. Yes, we have some that do not agree with a lot of our beliefs, like I said. I've been a mayor for 10 years, and these past 2 years has been very different, very divided, because they have a different opinion of what we have. And what we've been trying to work on is to be able to get along, right? We don't agree with many things, but try to move forward in order for our city to move forward and for our residents, because we're doing a disservice to our trustees. To our constituents. It's a disservice when we try not to get along, and that's what we've been trying to do. I've been in my heart trying to get along and trying to see what can we do on our staff. If we don't have a good staff in the city of Anthony, we don't have the city, because internally they're the ones that are working to make everything move forward, because they know their positions, they know their education on expertise on whatever they are working for, and working together. City government is very different from the private sector, and a lot of people don't understand that it takes sometimes 2 to 10 years to do a project. A perfect example of when I heard one of the trustees say that 4th Street project was from 2 to 10 years. It started in 2012 when I'm a trustee, and then up to 2020. That's a long time, but because we have federal and the state entities coming in and working together, and
What is transparency to you, and how will you implement it on a daily basis during city operations and practices?
So transparency is everything. If you don't have transparency, you don't have a city government. Again, it starts with the elected officials. We, the elected officials, set policies. We enforce policies through the mayor. So if we're not enforcing those policies, there's no transparency. Again, let's go back to the example of property taxes. The residents were charged a 7.65 tax mill levy That's the max of the state of New Mexico allows any government entity to charge you as a resident. Do you guys really think that the highest allowable amount to live in Anthony is really necessary? Is it accounted for? The answer is no. There was a resolution proposed to do it little by little. Let's inform the public. Let's start at 1%. Next year, let's go 2%. That was ultimately shot down with a swing vote. Removal of public comment. Not having public comment is not very transparent. Although it's not a right with the state of New Mexico, it's something that we have. It's our right as citizens that live in this community. So I believe I have already started implementing, with the change of the makeup of the board. The very first thing that we did is we restored public comment. We brought down property taxes and we informed public. We went door to door. Even at the church, posting flyers of the property tax. What other elected official did that for you? Thank you.
What is transparency to you? And how will you implement it on a daily basis during city operations and practices? Candidate Murillo. What is transparency to you? And how will you implement it on a daily basis during city operations and practices?
Yes, thank you for the question. When I went into as a trustee and also as a mayor in 2016, our transparency for me was the open door policy. So I've had several residents through my tenure stop by and ask questions, get information, get translated to Spanish if they had any information regarding Creighton ordinance or any other ordinances that were happening there that have been implemented in the city of Pasadena. That's been my transparency as open door policy. Also, what we've done is, it was mentioned before, we have provided a budget to all our constituents, explaining to them how does the budget work, right? How much money can you spend, and also educate people. I have one-on-one conversations with residents, but also like a group. I will go meet at a certain area of the city of Acton, be able to meet with them and explain to them what is the do's and don'ts that the city of Acton can do and cannot. Also, I do want to explain what the mill levy tax. So the mill levy tax was brought up in 2022 in July. Before that, we asked the state of New Mexico what can be done, and the state of New Mexico said that you didn't have to bring it out to the board, to the constituents on a mill levy tax raise. What it was had to do is the transparency was publicized in 7 places, publicized in social media, and get the people aware that there was a meeting, there was a public hearing, everything that is to do, and all the times that we've done in the city of Anthony was done for the mill levy tax. And we explained what was separate, like and not distributed for roads, so that or whether it's public comments, there was a lot of attacks towards the staff. The staff had asked that it was in public comments. Staff was not allowed to do that.
What is transparency to you? And how will you implement it on a daily basis during city operations and practices?
Transparency means to be open, honest, and accountable with people how our government decisions are made. Such as how much money you spend, new city projects that we've done, and just to let the residents know what the process is and not keep it in closed doors. I will use transparency to build trust between city government and the community. This means, again, like I mentioned, looking updates on city projects, and budget, and making sure our residents to ask questions and make sure they get the real answers that they want. Transparency isn't also just about getting out information. It's about giving the power back to people and making sure that they know um, what their government is doing and they know the truth of what their government has planned.
Thank you all of your responses to those questions. Now we'll move into our closing statement session where each candidate will be allowed 1 minute closing message to give a 1 minute closing message to the public. Candidate Burrito.
As mayor, I ask for your support to keep moving forward. I ask for your guidance. Let's focus progress, smart planning, and a better future for our children and our grandchildren. Together we can build the kind of family we all want to live and be proud of. Thank you.
I ask that you give the new generations a chance to show that they can improve this. I ask that you have trust in us and have trust in me to fix and rebuild the city to the standards that you all have set. I won't stop on everything, and so thank you guys what you guys is done and deserve at the city and the community.
Candidate Key.
Again, my name is Gabriel again. I've been in here since 2022. I fought for you all. And as you know, we sat here and, listened to individuals saying they've been here for 15 years. Although I've done that service, I think, it's time for change. So whether it's myself or my other opponent, I ask the city residents, if you want real change in this community, if you want public trust in our government, you need to go for change. Thank you, and thank you for coming.
Thank you, and good luck to all units. Before we conclude, we'd like to acknowledge Sarah Yee, candidate for municipal judge. Sarah, would you like to say a few words?
I kind of watch still like it's just listening to hard.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Gorgeous. I am Cheryl Yeen. I am municipal judge for the city of Amadou. This is my 4th year in my tenure, and I want to say, first of all, that I'm very grateful for the opportunity, for the time that I have been given to serve the public, to do the best that I can, through honesty and justice. I also want to request everyone that is here and those that are listening for your vote. Humbly ask for your vote. I am doing again for this for another 4-year term. So far, I've been working hard to provide not just my public service, but also listening to the people that come forward. I treat them with dignity, with respect, and of course always looking for the public safety in our community, and that's my goal. Currently, I am also conducting weddings, English and Spanish. So there's a lot of people coming to our town from different areas. I think I'm the only judge that speaks Spanish and conducts weddings, and we have a lot of travel. So we've also been working a lot with the police department as far as people with bench warrants, animal control issues. So I'm very open to that. You're always welcome also to come to court. Mondays, Tuesdays we have hearings, so please come. It's open to everybody. Thank you so much for your time and for being here. Also, thank you very much, Mary, for the time you've given me, and to all the candidates. Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you to all candidates for your time and determination for showing up and setting standards. Also, please return interpreter headsets before leaving. Thank you and good night.
And if you want to grab your candidate for this year, you can grab us and chat with them for a little bit.
What up, bro? Could you show me how to do that?